We are joined by someone whose life has been shaped by both loss and revelation. Alan Lazaros faced the unimaginable at age 2 and decades later survived a near fatal car accident that forced him to re-evaluate every definition of success he had built. Despite the external achievements, the world didn't see the inner battles. The questions of identity, the weight of abandonment, and the pursuit of something deeper than accomplishment. Today, as the founder and the CEO of Next Level University, Alan has transformed that journey into a mission to help people around the world strengthen their self worth, elevate their self belief, and build a life rooted in meaning. This conversation invites us into the psychological, emotional, and spiritual architecture of believing in ourselves, even when life has shaken that foundation. Welcome, Alan, to the show. I am very excited to deep dive into this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be here. I do not take it lightly to speak into the lives of other people. I will not waste a second of anyone's time. And I remember 11 years ago, after that car accident I had, I decided to orient my life around meaning. So being here is very meaningful for me. Thank you.
Great. And it's the pleasure is all mine. So, Alan, your story begins with profound loss and evolves through a second life changing accident. How did these experiences shape your earlier sense of self worth?
Yeah. So three main things. I'll be brief, but I think it's important to get context here. So I was born and raised in Massachusetts. I was born in 1988 in a place called Worcester, Massachusetts. And my birth father was John McCorkle. He was part of a big family. They had five siblings. So he had five siblings, six kids. So it was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette, all J. And in 1991, I was almost 3 years old. My mom was 31. My sister was 6. And my birth father suddenly died in a car accident. So harder on my mom and sister than me because I was only 3, so I don't remember a ton. But they lost, the closest person to them suddenly, kind of out of nowhere. And I had a stepfather named Steve Lazarus from age 3 to 14, so from 1991 to the early 2000s. And he left my family at 14, which is actually a good and bad thing. I mean, my mom and stepdad did not get along, and that's a polite way to put it. So they finally decided to end it. He left. He worked for a company called AGFA. They did hospital computers in New England during the dot-com bubble. And AGFA, I think, did hospital computers all across the world. And so during the dot-com era in the US, it was a lot of economic boom times. So we did very well. We had ski trips and boats and motorcycles and snowmobiles. We had a yacht, actually. We had an apartment building. So we did very well. So from the outside looking in, it looked like things were really good. From the inside out, things were not good because my mom and stepdad did not get along. He leaves my family at 14, takes 90% of the income with him. So I go from sort of boats and ski trips. So he gets the yacht and the apartment building. We get the house and the dog. And I go from upper middle class, doing very well, boats and ski trips, to now I get free lunch at school because our income is so low. My mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. I don't have cable. We weren't going to starve by any means, but we went from a very different lifestyle to basically how am I going to go to college? And I remember my dream college was WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. It's kind of like a mini MIT in Massachusetts. And I wanted to be an engineer. And it was $50,000 a year back then. And I went from I hope I get in to even if I do get in, I can't go. And so I look into the future and I see, okay, no trust fund, no generational wealth, no dad. If it's going to be, it's up to me. And I had 2 trauma responses when my stepdad left. So when I was 14, not only did my stepfather leave and take his entire extended family with him, I've since never spoken to or seen a single one of them. That same year, my sister moved out with her older boyfriend. That same year, my mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy, and we get ostracized from my mom's side of the family too. To this day, I've only seen her spoken to 2 human beings from my mother's side. So all in 1 year, when I'm a freshman in high school, I pretty much lose 3 families by the time I'm 14 years old. So 2 trauma responses to that. One, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. There's 4 trauma responses that are common. Fawn is the one I didn't know about until my 30s, but that was one that I definitely did. So I think we have a social one and we have a personal one. So around other people with all this abandonment, I became this sort of chameleon. Fit in, fit in, fit in. Don't stand out too much. Hang on to friends and family, hang on to friends and family, hang on to friends and family. And that's sort of the chameleon, the social butterfly, the become what others need in order to not get abandoned. So socially, it was fawn, which is appease. It means you appease others. And you become this sort of social coward. But behind the scenes, when no one was around, it was fight. It was aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Prove myself, prove myself, prove myself. So I got straight A's through all of high school. I got what's called the President's Award signed by George W. Bush. It's behind me. And I got in and I got all the scholarships and financial aid that I could get my hands on because we were broke. And I got to go to one of the best engineering schools in the world. I got my computer engineering degree with high distinction. I got my master's in business, and then it was off to the races. So at this point, I graduated bachelor's 2012, master's 2013, and then it was tech company, tech company, tech company, tech company, tech company. I went from 65 a year to 85 a year, 85 a year to 105 a year, and I mean 105,000 USD, 105 to 125, 125 to 185, which is a global 1% earner in my early 20s. I paid off 84 grand worth of debt in a single year. I just wanted to be debt free. I put $150,000 I accumulated in an investment account for Vanguard, and I bought tech companies and stocks, ETFs, index funds. And essentially, I was very successful on the outside. I brought my high school friends to college friends to corporate. But on the inside, I wasn't super fulfilled. Then I got in my car accident. So head on collision, my fault. I'm 26 years old. I work for a company called Cognex. And that was sort of the second chance my dad never got. Fortunately, no one was killed, because if anyone was killed, it would have been my fault. And I remember just thinking, if that was my mortality, if that was it, if that was the end, would I have been proud of the man I've become? And you just have these existential questions of like, did I do all I could with all I had? And my answer was no. I wasn't reaching my full potential. So that after that car accident at 26, that was 11 years ago. I'm 37 now. I started this company called Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know, because I was a straight A student and I was an academic and I didn't learn anything about fitness. I didn't learn much about finance until grad school. I didn't learn about nutrition or habits or character or humility or courage or vulnerability. They didn't teach personal growth, personal development, and self-improvement. And I feel like your life will only improve when you improve. And so you can change your aunt, your sister, your mom, your circumstances externally, but if you don't change who you are and improve who you are, it's going to be very hard to change your circumstances. And when I realized that, that was 11 years ago, I started a company based on that. And I'm still, now we have 180 countries we're listened to in, well over 1 million listens. We have a 22-person team now, 20 to 22. I think we have 2 team members that are coming on this week. And now we have 2,273 podcast episodes. Next Level University is what it's called. And so now we teach people all over the world how to really take back control of their own life and how to become the person that they needed most and how to become the hero of their own story and how to really succeed at a very high level through personal development, personal growth, and self-improvement.
Amazing. That's a pretty inspirational story. And definitely, it must have been very difficult for you, especially at that young age, to go through all of that. It must have felt like the world fell on your shoulders, literally. And I
Yeah.
get that. But despite all of that, you've come a long way. and now you're teaching others to do the same, which is amazing. But like you just like you just said that at some point, despite having everything materialistic in your life, despite doing well, you felt some kind of emptiness inside you. So like you are outwardly successful but inwardly struggling. When did the contrast between external success and internal emptiness became undeniable for you?
After the car accident, it was the best way I explain this now. We all have to live in two worlds. You have the social world, which is your reputation, your Instagram profile, your social media, me right now on this microphone, the social world, you and other people. And then you have the real world, which is who you are and what you are when no one's around. Who you are and what you are and what you do when no one's around is and always will be what matters most. So the social world is the wedding photos, the real world is the marriage. The social world is your Instagram profile, the real world is are you fulfilled when you wake up in the morning. The social world is your brand and your business and your title. The real world is are you happy, healthy, fulfilled, and productive every day? And so we all have to live in both of those worlds. You can't really opt out of the social world because the economy is built on the social world. So if I give one speech, I have 1,000 in front of 1,000 people. I have 1,000 reputations and only one character. So you have to care about both, but your syntax has to be right, meaning the order of importance has to be right. The priority has to be right. So real world first, social world second. And if you get that syntax wrong, you're in some serious trouble. And I had that syntax wrong for a time in my life, and it was meaningless. And so I think that if you want to change your life in real life, you have to orient your life around meaning and purpose and passion, and you have to figure out who you are. And I think that there's two types of self improvement. One of them is I don't like who I am, so I'm going to try to be different. That one is a dead end. The other one is I accept who I really am and I want to be a better version of that. And I think that's the far wiser and far better one. And that's the one that I try to teach.
Amazing. And like you said, definitely internal happiness matters much more than external materialistic happiness. And even if you have a crowd outside of your house, but in your house you feel lonely, then I don't think that there is any point in having that crowd. So,
Agreed.
definitely.
100%.
Yeah. And once that realization surfaced in you, what truth about yourself was the hardest to accept?
Oh, uh, the truth about my past. I mean, everything that I just shared about how hard my childhood was, I could not have told you probably until I was 30. So I think life is sort of this you're born as this pristine little blob. You're naked, scared, and ignorant. You don't know who you are yet. And then you go out into the world and you get mud slung in your glass. You're like this clean little glass of water, and then the glass of water gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but you get mud in it. And then eventually you have some sort of existential crisis. Maybe it's death of a pet, death of a loved one, illness, injury, something big, like my car accident, that gets you to start realizing, okay, I'm on the wrong path. I'm off. I'm on the wrong path. I'm not living true to myself. And then you start going back to your true self. And then you start redesigning your life from that place. And this is called unconditioning. This is called unparenting or reparenting. This is called unlearning and then relearning. But I think it comes down to self awareness first. And there's three things we all have to really understand in order to be successful in this life. And I don't just mean successful financially, I mean successful in general. You have to understand yourself at the deepest level. You have to understand others and you have to understand the world. So a self driving car is a good metaphor. A self driving car, we have something called full self driving mode in my car. And it needs three things. It needs an accurate current location, means it needs to know who and what it is. An accurate destination location, it needs to know where we're headed, a goal, and it needs to have updated data on the terrain. And you can literally see it while it's driving. It shows the houses and the other cars and the roads and all this stuff. And if it thinks it's a road, but it's actually a cliff, you're going to keep driving off a cliff and then blaming the world or blaming yourself or blaming the government, when in reality, it's your own inaccurate thinking. So you go into the world naked, scared, and ignorant, and you're supposed to learn about yourself, others, in the world. And that way you update your mental map so that you can navigate this world. And I think that I've coach training and podcasting for 11,854 hours. I call it my magic number. I started tracking it 11 years ago. And I track it every single day. And it's coaching, training, and podcasting. Coaching is one-to-one, training is one-to-several, podcasting is one-to-scale. And I learn every single day a little bit more about people, a little bit more about the world, and a little bit more about myself. All different countries, all different backgrounds, all different industries, all podcasts all over the world. You're in India. I'm in Massachusetts, so I get to learn from you. And so I update my mental map a little bit more each day, and it gets a little more accurate, little more accurate, little more accurate. And then you become a very empowered person who believes in themselves and who knows their value when you upgrade. And so the iPhone updates, my car updates, Windows and Apple update. Human beings need to update too. And so I'm Alan version 3.7. I'm a computer engineer, so I'm 37 years old. I'm Alan version 3.7. And Alan version 3.7 is far more capable, far more aware, far more self-aware, far more in every regard than Alan version 3.6 or Alan version 2.6 or Alan version 1.6. And so your life gets better as you get better, and you get better as you update your mental map of yourself, others, in the world.
That's a great quote. I'm actually going to start quoting that from now on. And I definitely agree. And I think the hardest truth about yourself that people need to accept at some point in their life is their unresolved traumas. And I think that's
Yeah.
also part of the reason why so many people are internally not happy with themselves, because they have not overcome the traumas of their life. So definitely whatever you said, that's 100% true. So, on that note, your approach blends compassion with direct, unfiltered truth. How does someone begin building genuine self belief if their past has left them doubting their worth?
Well, self belief and self worth are two different things, and that's an important distinction that I had to learn. Self belief, also known in the psychology as self efficacy, is your belief in your own ability to achieve something externally. So, my belief in my ability to communicate effectively on a podcast, that's self belief. Self worth is a projection of what I believe I'm worth. So a good metaphor is self belief is I can build the castle. I know I can build it. Give me enough time, I can get it done. Self worth is I'm going to live in the castle and I deserve to live in the castle and I'm going to honor and protect the castle from intruders. And so self belief is your belief in your ability to achieve. Self worth is usually how much you value yourself. A good metaphor for this is if you don't take care of your house, you probably don't value your house very much. If you don't take care of your car, you probably don't value your car very much. If you don't take care of your health, you probably don't value yourself very much. And I think that that's really important. So some people have high self-belief and low self-worth. Those are the heroes, the martyrs. They try to save the world. Some people have low self-belief and they hide it in the social world and they basically inflate their self-worth and they try to puff up. And then some people, we all need both though. So the goal is to build both self-belief and self-worth to achieve, but not just to achieve, but also to become more and to value yourself more.
Okay. So, yeah, I completely agree. And I feel that there must be a balance between self worth and self belief. And what I could get out of it is that self belief is knowing your potential, and self worth is knowing what you deserve. And it's very important to
Yes.
balance the two. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them is about external achievement. The other one's about
Yeah.
internal self-worth, self-value, self-compassion, and what you deserve. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, like you just mentioned, so with more than 10,000 hours of coaching individuals from all walks of life, what patterns do you see most consistently in those who struggle with self worth?
Self-worth, yes. So if you struggle with self-worth, the most consistent pattern I see is you are so there's three sort of core wounds that I use as a frame to help coach people. And I don't want anyone to overly yeah, let's do it. So there's three categories for my coaching. And once I understand your core wound, and we all have all three, but we have one really big one. All right. So the first one is called defective. It's the label. Don't get if you are defective, you definitely don't like that label. Defective is someone who there's the three limiting beliefs. The three core beliefs are all of me is not enough is number one. That's the most common, and no one says this out loud, by the way. So this is deep inside. The subconscious and unconscious brain are 200,000 times more powerful than the conscious. So this is an unconscious belief. Have you ever seen Inside Out, the movie by Pixar?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
love that.
The identity tree, have you seen the second one?
No, no, no. Only the first one.
Okay. All right. The second one has core memories that create this identity tree.
Okay.
And in the movie, I don't want to spoil it for you, but essentially, anxiety comes in as an emotion and starts to destroy her identity tree. Okay. All right. So the first limiting belief, the first core wound is known as defective. That's what I call it. And the record playing in the unconscious is all of me is not enough. All of me is not good enough. All of me is not smart enough. All of me is not competent enough. Okay. These people struggle with self belief, but they usually feel very accepted in the social world because most people also have that belief. All right. The second one is what's known as an unlovable. An unlovable is someone who their record playing is all of me is too much. I'm too intense. I'm too focused. I'm too smart. I'm too capable. I'm too much, too much, too much, too much. The defectives struggle with achievement. The unlovables struggle with love and acceptance. So, two guesses which one I am. uh, when you are in the category of unlovable, you basically behind the scenes are like a rock star. You're always focused. You're always capable. You feel like you're really good at everything. You feel like you're capable of almost anything. But for some reason, you feel like people hate you. You just feel like so unlikable. It seems like people hate you for no reason. When in reality, deep down, they feel not good enough and you are a trigger for them. Okay. So that's defective and unlovable. The third one is what I call the lost souls. They're the unwanteds. These are people that they feel like they don't belong. So the first limiting belief is all of me is not enough. That's defective. The second one is all of me is too much, unlovable. And the third one is all of me does not belong. I don't have a place in this world. Like, where do I fit in all this? And these are people who I think kind of opt out and they're very opportunist, but they don't really fit in anywhere. They go from group to group to group to group to group, and they never really commit to any one group. They have a really hard time committing. They have definite commitment issues. So those are the three main patterns that I see. We all have all three, but we have one really big one. So my really big one is unlovable, meaning I feel very capable. I don't struggle a ton with self belief. I feel like most things are available to me. I feel like I can achieve pretty much whatever I set my mind to within reason, but I don't feel likable. It's very hard for an unlovable to feel like people aren't going to villainize them or attack them. And so we constantly kind of dim our light to make sure no one finds out that we're great. So the defectives inflate to pretend to be great when they don't feel that way. Unlovables dim and pretend to be less than to stay safe socially. And then unwanteds kind of opt out and they just go from group to group to group, but never really get super close with anyone. So defectives struggle with inward humility. They are inwardly, they don't have the humility to admit, you know what, maybe I'm not that great and I actually need to get better. The unlovable struggle with social courage, just so hard for them to be honest with people. Like, hey, I actually am really bright. Hey, I actually am really smart. Hey, things actually don't come that hard for me. Like most things are pretty easy for me. It's very hard to say that socially without people hating you. because the majority of the population identifies as defective. And then the third one is the unwanteds, which is they see the defectives and unlovables hurting each other all the time. This sort of drama, you know, thing, victim and hero and victim and hero and villain and victim. And they just like, you know what? I'm not going to be a part of this, but I'm also going to feel very alone and unwanted because of it. So to bring this all down to practicality, defectives feel less than behind the scenes, but puff up in public. Unlovables feel great behind the scenes, but they dim in public to stay safe. So it's like the puffer fish and the turtle. And then the unwanteds are authentically themselves, but they keep everyone at a distance. Defectives struggle with humility. Unlovables struggle with social courage. And unwanted struggle to be vulnerable. They don't like to be needed, and they don't like to rely on others. Defectives are dependent on others. Unlovables usually are codependent. And unwanteds are typically hyper independent. And when we become the guide, the hero of our own story, when we become someone who is emotionally mature, we rise to a greater place where we are now interdependent, meaning I want you with me on this journey, but I don't need you. And that's a place where unconditional love and acceptance and understanding can happen. And that's really what I think we all crave. But we have to overcome our internal wounds in order to get there.
Wow, that categorization makes so much sense. It explains a lot of things as well. So thank you so much for sharing that, Alan. And lastly, before we wrap this up, I just want to say that this conversation was really very helpful. It was very impactful to me as well. So I'm sure that the listeners are feeling the same way right now. And yeah, you through your conversation, we me especially, we got to know that certain events in our life, they play a very important role in shaping the person that we become one day, and you are one prime example of that, on a positive side, definitely. So I'm sure that the listeners want to, connect with you on a deeper level, learn more from you, maybe listen to your podcasts and all. So if they want to do that, how can they do so? Could you just share with them?
Yes, absolutely. So over the years, we've been in business for 11 years. First of all, thank you again for having me. Appreciate it. Gratitude first. Over the last 11 years, I've figured out who we work really well with and who we really don't. So every business owner needs to find their absolutely people and their absolutely not people. And I want to see everyone flourish, but I realized over the years that I don't jive well with a certain type of person. So there's two types of people that I do not associate with ever. One of them is what we call spoiled brats, which is people who want huge rewards for minimal effort and they believe that the world owes them something. The second one is bullies, people who tear others down in order to feel bigger and better about themselves. So if you're in those two categories, do not reach out under any circumstance. If, however, you have high humility, high work ethic, and high self improvement, those are the core values of our organization. Those are also the core values of our team and my clients. Those are the core values. Those are my absolute people. So if you're a 10 on work ethic, a 10 on self improvement, and a 10 on humility, we will get along great. And we can help you achieve greater and greater and greater levels of success through personal growth, personal development, and self improvement. And that's what we do. So our podcast is called Next Level University. Next Level You, pun intended, not Next Level Alan, not Next Level Kevin, Next Level You. It is 0.1% improvement in your pocket every single day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. We do an episode every single day. We have 2,772 episodes, and we're available on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. And that's a good place to start. We have a bunch of other stuff. We've got a book club, we've got a master class, we've got group coaching program, all kinds of stuff. But the best place to start for free is Next Level University. And if you resonate with Next Level University, you are going to be someone who does really well in our community. We have a really cool growing community globally of people that are into fitness and self-improvement and all kinds of stuff. So we've got communities and sub-communities that are all on the internet that are fully virtual that will help you tap in to human connection, belonging, and accountability. So if that's you, check out the podcast. If you don't like the podcast, you probably won't like me, and that's totally okay. I'm not your cup of tea. If you do like the podcast, you will definitely fit in well, not only at our company and our community, but who knows, we can work together in the future.
Great. So I'll have all the details on my show listing, and our listeners will be able to connect with you and listen to your podcasts. Alan, thank you for bringing such clarity, depth, and grounded wisdom to this conversation. Your journey proves that self worth isn't something we stumble into, it's something we build, question, stretch, and return to again and again. And to everyone listening, let this be the moment you choose to honor your own value. Start with one belief, one action, one honest shift. Your next level begins not when the world believes in you, but when you decide that you are worthy of believing in yourself.